everybody. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. I'll give it a second. Let me give it a second. Got some tea here. Maybe I shouldn't broadcast that on national streaming because people have access to keys and stuff. So today I am going to be talking about Today, I'm going to be talking about the 5 years of abuse I endured. I couldn't write everything. Nathan made me shorten it. Um, Nathan made me shorten it, and I just say sorry. Nathan made me shorten it, and YouTube made me shorten it to 5,000. It was like under 5,000, and they made me shorten it even more. And the same thing, it was over 3,000 with LinkedIn, so I kind of shortened it up to like 200 below 3,000, and then they still was complaining, and so I had to shorten it again, so it looks a little retarded on LinkedIn. It looks a little retarded on YouTube. I didn't know I wrote that much. So where did I start off? I don't want to read from the thing. I just want to see where I started off. For one, I want justice. I definitely want justice because somebody is behind this. And I would like to advocate for myself. People think that I am obsessed and I have mental health issues over Hispanic people, and it's just one big coincidence, and it's just my fault. I'm just not, you know, recognizing that it's all in my head. Ever since I moved out of my big old white house. It was so pretty, beautiful. I love that house. I've been on my own and homeless. I've been kicked out of shelter to shelter. My food has definitely been spit in, or maybe even worse, depending on what shelter you want to say you go to. Philly was not a good place. I moved all the way to California, where I stayed at 70% Hispanic shelter. And I had no problem with Hispanics. No problem whatsoever. Nothing. I wasn't talking about Hispanics, but I like Trump. And I was talking about engaging in, I didn't care what Trump said. No, no, not that I didn't care about what he said. I didn't care about what he did as far as taking illegal immigrants and putting them back where they belong, which is Mexico, Venezuela, and every other, you know, place that they belong. So somebody started reading my feed. I started going to the library talking about it and complaining. And somebody or multiple people started reading my feed. And so every time I go into the bathroom, I was being harassed by two Hispanic short girls that would be like, "What are you doing, Miss Cloud? What are you doing in there?" With flashlights on at 4 in the morning. And I'm trying to take a shower. So, get ready and actually use the bathroom before I take a shower. That's normal. And then another Hispanic woman would watch me walk to the back of the kitchen. And I'm like, why are you following me? And she would laugh and walk away. When I tried to stay away on the other side of the property, they would be like, you cannot stay on that side of the property, but I see other people on the side of the property. When I would take showers, I would hear men talking and giggling when it's only women supposed to be in there and their shower curtains were fluked. So I finally got my place through the VA. Through Santa Maria VA, Hub Ash. And what happened was harassment. Y'all know what I said. I was being harassed by my next door neighbor. He acted like he wanted to have sex with me, and he had a child and a wife. And I didn't like that. Every time I come home, he would look at his watch. His door would be halfway open. And then a nail mysteriously popped into my car. And then when we went to court, he said a nail is in his car. He don't supposed to be watching my show, so why would he say a nail is in his car? He reversed it on me and he won. They won their restraining order. I was so furious. I couldn't believe that I worked so hard and had so much evidence, and yet the judge didn't even care. In California, they don't. They don't care nothing about black people. They care about illegal immigrants. That's why they moved there. Some of them probably scared. Some of them just don't care. They care about illegals or just immigrants or Hispanic people. I had the evidence. I was recording it. I had a case with Marion Hospital, but guess what happened? Something happened in my life that I couldn't go to court no more. I showed up one time for court. I was suing them for $2 million for me being asleep for 5 days and not knowing. Those security guards were watching my room. I don't want to know what was going on with me for 5 days under intoxicated, not aware what was going on. And they were Hispanic. I have a broken wrist. I don't know if it's from Seattle correctional officers or Santa Maria correctional officers. I mean, Santa Maria security officers grabbing my wrist too hard, which was Hispanic. When I came back there to get the evidence, when people call, because I'm trying to build a case, when people call, they say they don't even have my records. They go by my social and they say they don't even have my records. So I left Santa Maria. I threw out all my stuff. There was a possum I don't understand how a possum got into my house. I'm glad I had a dog. They definitely was coming into my house without my knowledge, because as big as that thing was, I don't understand how it got in there. There was no access point. So I moved. I moved to, oh yeah, and I woke up in a cab, in an Uber with another Hispanic waking me up. When I got to the building and got inside and actually got to see a judge or a medical team, they said release her. She is not insane. They released me that day, and I had to fend for my way back home to my apartment. So I moved to Salt Lake City thinking I was going to get away, but they all migrate everywhere. I told my Facebook family I was in Salt Lake City. I got an apartment. I thought that it was way too expensive to be a low income apartment building. I was paying full price. I didn't even care about including the VA in on it because I thought the VA was in on it. And sat up there and paid my rent. And then stuff started happening. Stuff just didn't feel right. I would go downstairs to get ready to go drive, and there would be Hispanic men downstairs working on their car, and my garage would be slammed wide open. And I stayed on the fourth floor, so whatever they were doing, they could just walk on over to their car and pretend or act or do actually start fixing their car. They can see me come out my apartment, but I can't see them. This happened 4 times. Walmart, they would stare at me profusely. They would point. They say no. I heard one say no one's seeing us. No one can see us. And just point at me and just stare. I tried to tell the police. The police didn't understand what I was saying. It just sounded mental. And I left. I said, you know what? You know what? They're migrating to the United States. Trump isn't in office. Somebody is obviously having them follow me. So I'm going to the UK. I'm just headed to the UK. So they wanted me to get a passport initially in Seattle. Everything was bringing me back to Seattle. I said, for some reason, I was like, no, I don't want to go to Seattle. I don't know why I didn't want to go, but something in me said I didn't want to go. I'll go to Denver, get the passport, and fly out from there to the UK. I bought a hotel room to the UK from at the UK. I bought a hotel room, and I was going to try to find like a shelter or something. First, I was going to move to Canada. Let's not even talk about Canada. We're going to talk about it when it gets to the Washington, Seattle. But so I went to Denver. They said I owed $1,000. They said I owed $1,000 in child support when I started to question when is my child support going to be over. They said they closed it in March of 2023. And that's the same time I was trying to leave for the UK, which was very weird to me. And I never called child support about this either. I said I would pay it off, and that's what I was doing. I paid extra. Social Security paid me for paying extra. supposedly. I think I got back some money for that. And I stayed in Denver, stayed in a rinky-dink hotel room where somebody kept knocking on my door every three, like at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. When it got light, I sat up there, took a shower, got dressed, put my clothes in my luggage, caught an Uber, where? Sat up there, caught an Uber, got a ticket to Ketchikan, Alaska. Before I did that, this is what I did. I was homeless and I didn't want to stay in Denver. I didn't have no money. So I called the police and the police helped me out. I don't know how I ended up calling the police. Wait, before then I went to a Starbucks and I had a court hearing in Santa Maria for my me suing the Marion Hospital. All of a sudden stuff started happening even worse. So I go to Loveland and it made me forget about everything. I go to Loveland. For some reason, they were bitching about me not taking showers. They didn't, for some reason, these shelters did not want me taking showers. When I did, they made sure it was a disgusting area. The first place I was at, there was a legal immigrant woman harassing me. I told the two white ladies that I was being harassed by her. They kicked me out. They kicked me out. So then I called the police. And then they moved me to Loveland because I was trying to buy time till I get paid again. And they said, you can take a shower, go ahead. But they were bitching about it at first. They were like, you got to sign up. And it was a long line. And then somebody called me a bitch that was Hispanic. Somebody called me a nigger. And I didn't talk to none of them. And then all of a sudden, I took a shower and there was an open Band-Aid on the floor. I didn't even want to pick it up. I kept taking a shower. They said 15 minutes. I was taking 15 minutes and they started banging on the door. They said, why are you taking so long? Everywhere I went, somebody would follow me to that destination and just sit there. Wherever I sat, that was Hispanic. Across the street. When I sat up there and slept, I slept with my book bag between my legs. We had to sleep outside. One woman kept me up till 4 in the morning talking about jack shit. The police had to come and escort her out. So from there, I went to the last shelter. That's where the police took me, to the last shelter. I called an Uber to the shelter. I don't know how I ended up. I ended up talking to the police twice. So the police took me to the last shelter. No, this was in Washington. No, what happened was I got paid and then I got a plane ticket to Ketchikan. And then I went to Ketchikan in the line. It wasn't a long line in Seattle, but I had to fight to get there because the first thing I wanted to do was get a laptop, but then something was off about the way you had to swipe your card at Walmart in Seattle and Renton. They kept saying, swipe it again, it's not working. And I'm like, no, that's okay. That's okay. You shouldn't have to swipe that many times because my card will get blocked. And then American United will block my card and say that something suspicious is going on. And I called for the manager. She was Hispanic. She didn't even care. So I went to another register, swiped it. I didn't even want a laptop from there because I said they probably do shit with laptops. It was only a couple of laptops left. A couple. It stayed only a couple laptops, not the good laptops, but the bad laptops, the laptops that you can break in easily. And I didn't want them. I just got a phone. But since I made that big scene, verbal altercation, the security guard came up and he was Hispanic. Walmart was about to close. I got a phone, a prepaid phone. I couldn't even activate it. And the reason why I got the phone because the other phone kept freezing on me. And it is noted that people can take Android phones and do whatever they want, like a gaming system. Once plugged in, which a lot of Hispanics, which is noted on the news, were living at the Seattle airport doing illegal stuff. They took the plugs and replaced them. I plugged it in and it started acting up. My phone was dead. The last Uber I called took me to the Walmart, but what I asked the Hispanic security guard, I asked him, I said, could you tell me how to get to a hotel room? He was like, it's all the way up the street. It's like 10 minutes away by walking. I said, do I have to go up a highway? Because I don't want to have to go up a highway. He's like, no, you don't have to go up a highway. It's right up the street. I did. I had to go up a highway. Hold on. I had to go up a highway to get to the hotel rooms or somewhere where it said 55. I remember it saying the speed limit is 55. He told me how to get there. And I didn't feel safe driving. It was no sidewalk. It was just the it was just the side street. And people were speeding by. So I stopped. I went back. I was heavily heated because I was trying to get to a hotel room so I can settle and figure out some things. But I didn't get to it. So I slept outside of Alaskan Bank, whatever they call it. I threw my book bag. It could have been any animal out there. It could have been anything out there. I saw the police ride by. I didn't stop them. I was just highly upset. I kept looking at my phone. My phone wasn't working. And then at 3 in the morning, for some reason, it started working. It said King County something, Wi-Fi. King County Wi-Fi. I used that Wi-Fi to hover up a Uber, and I went back to Washington, uh, Seattle, Washington airport. And I didn't even tell you, and I went to Ketchikan. But let's pause there. I didn't even tell you when I first got to Salt Lake City, when I was leaving, their airport is the biggest airport because it takes 10 minutes to get across the terminal, even if you're running. I talked to a Hispanic attendant. She said, "You'll make it." I was 7 minutes late. Um, Sat up there, went to Ketchikan, in the line, in Seattle line. There was one Hispanic and his child. I tried to hide. I changed my clothes, left the clothes in the bathroom, because every time I go to the main bathroom, it's like somebody's in there waiting for me to leave a phone or a wallet sitting down that's Hispanic. So I went to the main, the bathroom without the family bathroom. It's not that I was smelly, it's that I didn't want to be recognized. And I sat somewhere where it was construction. The Hispanics kept walking over there at 4 in the morning. It's all on camera. And so I went to Ketchikan, went to the shelter there. And I don't remember if there was Hispanics, but they were acting very, very weird there. They kicked me out. I think they said I made too much money. I didn't even complain. They kicked me out on day one. I don't know what system these shelters use, but they're sitting up there painting a picture of me being combative when all I did was tell the truth about what was going on with me. So they kicked me out day one. I didn't say nothing. I didn't do nothing. I was getting my bed together. I was doing everything I could. Thank God I didn't turn in my car because I would have had to walk down the steepest hill. It started raining like crazy. I managed to get a hotel room with my car. I said I extend my car for a couple, like a day before I catch a plane out of here, off the island. And I looked on the news or looked on my phone, my laptop, and Biden was making a deal with the first Canadian president of saying that Americans cannot come over there as refugees, but illegal immigrants can come over the border as refugees. So this was 7 days prior. I didn't know, but it came across my feed 7 days prior to me because I was going to go to Canada. Canada, you don't need a passport, I heard. And I cried. I said, let me try anyway. I went back to Seattle. I cried so hard, man. I cried because I knew that they were keeping up with me because I kept saying on my page that I was moving to Canada. And so I went back to, I wasn't trying to go back to Seattle, but this one flight attendant said, "You have enough money to go back to Seattle, so go back to Seattle." She just kept trying to convince me to go back to Seattle, go back to Seattle. And I didn't want to go because I was homeless. So I said, let me just give it a second chance. So I went. I caught a cab. I didn't even have enough money, but I caught a cab all the way to the Canadian border. But I was stuck because I didn't want to walk the highway to get to the Canadian border. So I called the police like I did in Denver, and he was Hispanic. I asked him if he can help me. He said, "No, I can't help you. You're just going to have to walk." And thank God my phone wasn't acting up. I had to go the back way to the Canadian border. And when I got there, I spoke with two agents, and they were going to let me go across the border, but they said it's a lot of Hispanics that's illegal out there, and I was like so disgusted. I was like, no, I don't want to go then, and they checked my pocket for weed, and they gave me back one vape pen, but they took another. And I was so happy that I had a vape pen. um so I ended up at this halfway store where they had Biden chips. They had Biden chips, Biden everything. And I called for a cab and told the cab I only had $40. Can you take me to a shelter? I don't know how I ended up at that shelter, but I did. They said they were going to help me. They didn't help me do nothing. They kept saying they were going to help me. I kept asking them over and over to help me. They didn't do nothing. They didn't do nothing to help me. Instead, the illegal immigrants, they were working overtime, but these social workers weren't doing nothing. So I heard one illegal immigrant, I was walking, I heard him say, "She's from Santa Maria." And I said, I knew it. I fucking knew it. And so when lights were out, I was halfway asleep, and I seen one lady hovering over me like she was about to attempt to go into my book bag. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm just stretching." And so I put the bag between my legs. And then shower time. It was like 300 of us in there. So it was shower after shower after shower. This guy crapped in the toilet and purposefully left his crap hanging in the toilet. Now, the shower, it was stopped up. They gave me the most crappiest one while the social workers weren't doing nothing. I kept asking. But anyway, so I had to take a shower while looking at crap. And it disgusted me. And I started trying to make a move to see where I needed to go. And I said, I'm going to go to the Seattle VA at the vet center off of North Gate. That's where I went. They suggested I go to the YWCA. I barely got rest. I'm smoking weed. I'm okay, though. I'm not combative, but I'm stressed. I get to the YWCA. This short white lady keeps saying, the FBI is going to get you. The FBI is going to get you. As usual, a Hispanic is working in the kitchen making food. The social worker that's supposed to work with veterans about helping them with pay, which they didn't have to help me, she was never there. There was a woman overstepping her boundaries beyond her being manager, working there, lying, gaslighting people that she didn't like. There was Hispanics working there. And during the first course of me being there, she said, can you put this up your nose? I said, I don't know where this came from. Can you show me and open up the packet, please? And they wouldn't. For some strange reason, they wouldn't. They wouldn't open up the packet in front of me. They never did. And then I had a veteran's bed. I had a veteran's bed. And what happened was I came back on time and I didn't do nothing. I was ready to wash my clothes and go to bed. And all of a sudden, the black lady said, you came in late. Your bed is taken with another veteran. She lied in my face. And I tried to say something. I wasn't scared of her because every time she talked to me, she had people backing her up, two people behind her. You can say in general population, which now I know that term, like jail say that term a lot, general population. And I ended up washing my clothes at 11 o'clock that night. And I'm usually in bed by 9, 10 o'clock or earlier. And so I'm sitting up there trying to get some sleep on a mat, my feet hanging off the mat, barely even any cover. And they're just looking at me like a dog drooling. And they sit me right next to the woman who said the FBI is going to get you. People getting up, people going to sleep, it's like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, and people getting up, going to the bathroom, coming back. Getting up, going to the bathroom, coming back. Looking at me. I woke up. My book bag was half open. I took my tincture, which was my weed tincture. I thought everything was okay. I signed up for a shower. Once again, when I got undressed and everything, there was nothing around me. Absolutely nothing on the floor around me. The woman that said the FBI is going to get you was right behind me. Said, I signed up for a shower too. She's across from me. I got my book bag in my luggage near me, and my book bag comes in the shower with me. I don't care if my computer get wet, both my computers get wet or not. I step out the shower and there's a period pad with blood all over it in a trash can. I kicked the trash can so hard and it almost hit her. It was inches from hitting her. And she got scared and told the black manager. And I didn't care at that point no more. Because I'm like, every time I take a fucking shower, there's something nasty near me. Plus, I was on methamphetamines. That was the breaking point. Halfway, no sleep, on marijuana, and on methamphetamine. So I left. The police came, the nice police came, and I left. They said, you can't come back there. And I was okay with that. I was going to the vet center, but I was so highly mad. I could have went to the vet center, but I was disoriented. That was the breaking point. I could have just left and went to the vet center, but I didn't. I found a blunt object, and whoever was first, I was just going to hit. And that's what happened. It had nothing to do with a hate crime. And so after when I first went to jail, I took off my wig and everything. And yeah, got booked, fingerprints and everything. And when I went up to the mental health floor, because that's the first floor they sent me to, um, I forgot to tell y'all, it was 10 officers with guns pointed at me. And I had a knife in my hand. And I guess the medication was wearing off whatever I was on or under. Because I was gonna be in jail a while. I was supposed to stab a woman. She was calling me the bitch word. She said, fuck you. They kicked the knife out of my hand. I grabbed another knife. When the police came, I abide by their rules, and they don't play that. If you come towards them with a knife, they'll shoot. When they arrested me, I started cussing them out. I hit my head on a truck. They put me somewhere safe. And that back um fast forward, I'm in jail. I'm calling my attorney. It was one big setup. I'm calling my attorney because I interviewed white ladies way before. This wasn't a plot to hurt a white lady. I was disoriented with whatever they put me on in that fucked up shelter. That woman kept following me around the shelter, and I couldn't even take up for myself because I know I would have got kicked out. And at the shelter, there was this white lady who called me a nigger. There was this other white lady who didn't like me. Somebody ended up pulling her teeth out. Maybe it's because of me, because she kept trying to get, she was an informant, but she was an informant to those correctional officers. She woke up with toothless. One tooth came out. And she was mad. She wanted to sue. But before that happened, because she kept coming in and out, for some reason, she kept coming in jail. She would get out, come in, and that used to disgust me. Because I'm like, you're free and you keep coming to jail. One Hispanic girl said to the correctional officers, you love Cloud now. She was crying about it. She said, you love Cloud now. One male correctional officer had raped an older woman. I don't know if it was fake, set up, or what. But he said, yeah, I raped you, you bitch. Teresa is her name, the white lady who is toothless now. She sat up there and she was the one telling the correction. She would inform Putin what's going on and what happened during the day or the week. He would let her out. They would fuck in the shower or in the actual um, jail cell. They would always put me somewhere where I couldn't see. I didn't want to hear that shit. I just wanted to go to sleep. I had to play it off like I liked that shit. I had to play it off like everything was cool, like I was a little mental. That way people would be scared of me. They moved me to another room. 3 women, Hispanic and white, pulled their hair loose, started bobbing their hair around, talking about Cloud is dead. The tank was open. I started screaming and got naked. And they kept saying it. So I said, something isn't right about this. They're not going to do nothing to me. So I grabbed my clothes and said, I was cussing them out. I went in my cell and kept saying, cussing them out. The VA came. Nobody told me the VA was coming. But before that, they left out the tank. They're not supposed to leave out the tank. It's only correctional officers out the tank. They were trying to set me up to make it stick in jail. And they needed all the witnesses they could get. They put me on the 9th floor. I asked nicely for a cup. She said, yeah, I'll get you a cup. Just let me, it's going to be before I change shift, but it's going to be way before then. And I'm like, okay. Oh, yeah. Before that, let's rewind. Days without showers. Days without talking to my lawyer. When I was in court, my lawyer suggested I go back to the YWCA. She didn't investigate shit. They already had it. It's all recorded too. I said, I think they're doing something to me and I don't feel comfortable there. She didn't care. She said, hang in there. So I had days without showers, and then I moved to the 9th floor because they knew I was faking being crazy, especially in jail. Their form of crazy is totally different than the VA form of crazy, and it's totally different than a civilian form of crazy. I did that so I can stay on the 7th floor because that was the safest place for me. 23-hour lockdown, away from people. They're crazy. That's really crazy. And no showers. When I took a shower, if a woman was around, officer was around, she would bitch and complain. It took them all day to give me my food. When the food was time, it was time for the food. Sometimes the correctional officers used to, the male correctional officers during the end used to have to, because you couldn't see when a cart came in. And she could have been doing anything like they were in the beginning. Possibly, I I know they were putting meth and fentanyl in my stuff. And the women officers was just as worse. The men had to take my food and give it to me. Sometimes my food would be soaking wet. Sometimes they would drop the one Hispanic woman always dropped my food on the floor, whether wet or not. When I come over to the women's section, she never gave me my cup. So I started screaming. People telling me to shut up. I didn't care. And you don't want to know how large that place is and how my voice traveled. You don't want to know. Because I had to fight to get a white cup. They treated me like shit. No showers over there. When a male took a shower, they make sure they change shift. They hurry up and change. When it was time to take a shower, she would say, Cloud, it's your turn. And then she'd say, no, Cloud, wait. She wouldn't give me the necessary items to take a shower with. One day it was vomit in a shower. One day it was cookies in a shower. But it was never a clean shower. They put me in a tank with lunatics up at the top. I believe I was choked out in my sleep by somebody had her choke me out in my sleep by a black girl. I asked to go to Kent jail. They switched me to Kent jail. I woke up, couldn't breathe. All of a sudden, when I came to, I heard my something drop. Because when you get off the top bunk, you can hear it make a noise. And she was on the top bunk. She was on top of me. After we talked, got along, I sat up there and had to go to Maple Lane. I sat up there and had to go to Maple. When I first got to the Kent jail, though, they asked me, one inmate asked me if I had any methamphetamine, and I said no. I said if I did, I would give it to you, but that's what I had to say. I had to say that shit because if I said no, it would have been like hard for me there. But back to Maple Lane, they put a murderer in Maple Lane, and he would creep up behind me and smell my hair. I had to call the FBI because they were getting out of hand. They were allowing an Indian and Hispanic woman pull down her pants. They knew she was annoying me, so they kept her in for as long and they knew he was annoying me, so they kept him in for as long as possible. I tried to tell the woman, I tried to tell the women that he's bothering me. They got into fights there. I was not even a part of the fight. They wanted me a part of the fight. They possibly spit or put stuff in my food every time I ate. My stomach would cramp. It was terrible there. I tried to leave. I tried to say, is there any way I can go to a hospital? They said, no, you can't leave. You cannot leave the premises. So I called the FBI. I kept calling. They kept hanging up on me. And finally, I got somebody who cared. And I gave them this address. I said, please help. I'm being mistreated here. All of a sudden, one guy came. He was Russian. I forgot his name. But he was an agent. He had to be an agent. I forgot his name. They were hiring people and he came in. The staff would yell stuff underneath my room like, you should smother her. You should smother Cloud. And then when I start yelling about it, they'd be like, Cloud, it's all in your head. But he came and he would never see when the showers. The showers was a problem. Again, the night shift wouldn't give me proper soap for a shower. If I take a shower too long, it's like, Cloud, you're in there too long. And it wasn't nobody waiting on the shower. People start leaving feces in the toilet again. Do you see the pattern? So I went back to the jail after 3 months. My lawyer didn't even look happy to see me. She wasn't happy. She was like, you're changing lawyers. And that's all she said, really. And she got off the video conference. Just like she was mad because I did good and she wanted me to do bad so I can extend my stay there. And what else? When I got back there, one day I was laying down facing the wall in the window. I kind of was up, but I was drained. I felt drained. I felt something pinching my neck. I never felt that before. And I started gurgling. I started gurgling, like gurgling heavily. And I went back to sleep. There's ways to open up the cells where you don't hear it open. When they want you to hear that cell open, because I've seen it being done. When King County Jail wants you to hear them open up that cell, they'll let you know. But when they don't want you to hear them open up that cell, they don't let you hear them open up that cell. Then they moved me to the Kent. Oh, I didn't explain what happened up on the ninth floor, but something really bad happened, and I'll explain that after my surgery, after the success of my surgery. The officers is to blame for this. the women officers, Hispanic women officers. They always try to get me combative and then say, can you can I handcuff you? And I would get handcuffed. I never was combative. I always obeyed. So they moved me to Kent. One mixed woman, I don't know what she was mixed with, sat up there and was like, yeah, I pistol whipped a girl with a gun. She was like, I pistol whipped a woman with a gun. What did you do? And then she said, oh. And then she said, let me hear what you did. Like she knows what I did. Everybody in that place knew what I did. Everywhere I went, they would send somebody that from Maple Lane or from somewhere that I was at to the jail so that they can spread what I did when I was there. I ended up succeeding in getting out. I did my job. I took a shower. They really didn't bother me about the shower because the toilets weren't near the showers, I don't think. Where was the toilets at? They will forget, yeah, a Hispanic, yep. Hispanic women will forget to let me out of the door when you get changing your linen purposefully. Um, and I still didn't complain, man. I just read books. Then they started complaining about the books. When I started reading the books, they started saying you can't keep a book in your room. I was reading John F. Kennedy. Everybody wanted to know what I was reading like it was a big riddle because I stayed to myself. I took my showers. Where was the toilets at? Oh, the toilets was in the room. I was like, where is the toilets at? That was so sweet because if they would have been next to the shower, it would have been hell. And I got out. I got a car, and that's when I started to be followed in Berrien. They tip their car to the side. When people tip their car to the side, they're looking to shoot you. They're looking to shoot you. This is when I was running for state senator. Instead, they took out their phone, made sure they didn't show what race they were, and they started filming me. They blocked the whole street. Nobody supposedly was coming. And then the police officer made it seem like it was mental health issues once again while I was saying this. It's just all in my head. He didn't even want to hear it. Black dude. He knew I like white men. He was like, oh, you like white men? He made sure he said that. Why is that anybody's business when I'm talking about business? What else? I would stop, pull over to the side on a dirt road before hitting the bridge. They would pull over. I would drive to the Tacoma wig stores. I would go in the parking lot of the industrial buildings. They would follow me and then U-turn it, and like they would follow me, they would stop for a second, and then when I just sit there, they would sit there, and then they would bust a U and just leave. And they were all Hispanic. I sat up there and asked a simple question to the kid. They were throwing rocks at my car. I said, "Can you please stop?" A Hispanic woman started this. She was with a black man. I mean, it's okay for Hispanic women to be with black men or white men, but as soon as I say I'm with a white man, they like, oh, and then I like Trump, they like, oh no, we can't have this happen. But she come over, the black man didn't come over, but she come over yelling. I heard her yelling from a mile away. Talk about, no, she didn't. I'm going to sit up there and squash this shit right now. She shouldn't have talked to my son. And her children saying, calm down. She like, no, I'm not calming down. So I come out the balcony. I'm coming out the balcony laughing because this is just a joke. It's stupid, man. You know, is she drunk? Is she high? I didn't do nothing but nicely tell a child to stop throwing rocks at my car. And that's what I told her. And she calmed down. She calmed down and walked away. It's just sad, man. I had 10,000 votes from Berrien. People make me seem like I'm crazy, like people don't know me and play it off. I got 10,000. You can look it up online. Look up my name, Kimberly Cloud, and look up the ballots. I got 10,000 votes. That's not including how many children and how many husbands or how many wives know about me. The VA already knows about me. Other people already knows based on the shows. You can't say I'm not a low-end influencer. Not including the people that watch me at the Kimberly Cloud Show 38. What about the Kimberly Cloud Show business page? I got a lot of followers. I'm not just talking and to myself. And when I say I wish they go back to Mexico, I mean it. Because this whole 5 years I've been harassed by them. When I stand up for myself because they are harassing me, I be the one that look like I'm crazy. I tried to hide it from you. You know, they put me with a Hispanic lawyer. I try to be nice to her. I wrote her, would freedom of speech get me in trouble? I said, would freedom of speech get me in trouble and have me arrested and go back to jail or in a mental facility because I'm talking about different things that I feel is the truth? I still haven't gotten a word back from her. And it's on record. It's on the phone records. When I write my bankruptcy attorney, he writes me in a matter of 15 to 20 minutes. He isn't that busy, and I'm pretty sure that a public defender isn't that busy. They treat me like I'm mentally unstable. They don't want me to be right. They don't want me to run for president because I'm insane. Because I'm insane to them. I'm a nigger to them. Just some random nigger that needs to be eliminated from the Trump administration. And their quota. They hide behind each other, saying that nobody did nothing. They can vouch for each other, but no one's above the law. If anything happens to me, it's because they couldn't even write me back and tell me a simple answer. I don't know the law. I didn't go to law school like you. Is it a setup from above the government, the bad part of the government? Sometimes I do get paranoid, y'all, and I'll tell you what I think. Let me tell you what I think. Out of everything that's happened to me over the 4 or 5 years I've been advocating for Trump, it's more, but I'm too embarrassed to talk about it. I'll talk about certain things after achievements and accomplishments been made. That's what I'll do. But I feel like people want to see me fall. People want to see me fall. People want to see me my achievements go away. People want to see because all I am is MAGA. I got illegally in a mental facility. They illegally admitted me. They pumped me full of drugs and I was asleep for 5 days. And when I got to the mental facility, all the way in Santa Barbara, then I was woken up by a Hispanic male. Didn't know where I was at. Was still lethargic. And I got there and the doctor, the residing physician, was like, let her out. She shouldn't even be here. They're trying to build a case. Whoever this person, this shadowing person is, they're working with Hispanics, and Hispanics is working with them to try to take out everybody in different ways, whether they kill, they think it's easy for me to go to a mental facility, so it look like I'm lying, whatever the case may be. I'm tired of being ignored. I can see if I wrote the prosecutor. He is working with my lawyer. I can see if I wrote the prosecutor and he didn't respond. I'd be like, okay, he's not working for me. He's just working with the thing, making sure I do it. But if I don't do it, he's gonna recommend I go back to jail. But I wrote my lawyer, my own lawyer. And this is how it's been for the whole almost 2 years. Oh, I forgot to tell y'all. It was stuck in my head, but it got missing. I knew I was missing something. So when I got out of jail, I went to a place. I went to a halfway house. And this is when I got acquainted with my probation officer. So I went to a halfway house. And it was terrible. Two Hispanics were there. One lady that used to treat me like shit at Maple Lane and see me in jail and see me before she went to Maple Lane, see me after jail, see me during the Maple Lane. They were acting real funny at Maple Lane. She would sit in the middle of the hallway while they preparing their meals and watch them prepare the meals. And then she would point. She would point to them like she's pointing to what plate she wants. It was terrible. So there was a couple that worked there, a Hispanic lady and a male, and they moved me out of the main house to, they started asking me for rides. She still was doing fentanyl, the girl that I'm talking about. The girl that I'm talking about that sat up there and was pointing, she still was doing fentanyl. She was pissing hot. Or meth. I don't remember which one. And they were covering for her. She would sleep all day, go out, make a run, come back, and that'll be her day. Then she started asking me for my shoes. She started asking me for rides. And she had family. She had the staff. When I moved, they came too. She said, I want to move in here with Cloud. She had her own room still. Whenever I was alone enough to do a show there, they made sure I couldn't do a show there. So I said, fuck it. I'm moving out. So I told Susan, I have an apartment place in mind. And that's where I found the burying place. And that's where, with the cop, he could have easily not brought my mental health into it. He could have said, yes, she is having run-ins with the cartel, but he didn't. He didn't. He blamed it on my mental health. And she charged me, the Hispanic woman, charged me rent, just like the other Hispanic woman at La Vista Apartments charged me for rent because I broke the lease. But it did happen. They were watching me. They made it very personal and very open that they're going to watch me. I was the only one with a new car there. They steal cars. Now I'm getting bankruptcy, so they won't see a penny from me. I wasn't going to pay it. because I know I didn't deserve to pay it. Every time it was a white lady, a white man, it would switch out to a Hispanic woman. Right when I'm getting comfortable, about the 3-month mark. It was always at the 3-month mark of me staying there. And I would never go into the office, you know. And just as I'm going into the office for some random reason, for help with something that has nothing to do with complaining on a neighbor or nothing, they would literally be changing out employees. This happened at every apartment building except La Vista. Wonder why it didn't happen at La Vista. Because she was already Hispanic. I never seen a Hispanic change into a white person. So I I'm staying at my apartment now, and they got cameras on every floor. And I don't know if the police watch the cameras or if just the staff watch the cameras or if it's just somebody, it just records until somebody complains about something, and then certain staff members watch the cameras. But if they're not ethical, if they have no ethics, they could lie about it. If I went and I asked who was watching the cameras, would I get an honest answer? And it's my right. I have rights as a tenant to ask those type of questions. But it seems like I'm walking on eggshells every time I ask or give a suggestion or give a comment. So I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. He can smoke all he want. Let him smoke until his lungs collapse. Let him smoke. Let it breathe in. If even if I had smoking problems, like where it chokes me at night. I had symptoms to where if somebody smoked in a house, it will cause me to hyperventilate or anything. I don't think she would care. She's Hispanic. There's children down the hall next door, behind him, like on the other side of him. They smell it too. There's children throughout the whole hallway in these small, congested apartments. It goes out. And then the detectors beat. The detectors beat. And she said, what if he was cooking? Well, I told you he was smoking. So obviously he's not doing nothing but smoking. He's a tall guy. What if he just takes off the smoke detector and take out the battery? Why do he need to keep the battery in if he knows he's a smoker? At least with me, when I used to smoke back in Maryland, cigarettes, I would get something to climb up on, take out the detector, and take out the battery until it was time to go. It's like It wants to annoy me. Last night, I was sleeping, I got awoken, and I don't care. They can do whatever they want, but I'm going to keep notating it on my show. Wherever something happens, I'm going to notate it on my show. I don't care. The landlord shouldn't be watching my show. Anybody from the management system shouldn't be watching my show. I didn't invite them to watch my show. So there you have it. This is my show, and I talk about what happened. And what I said was the truth. She barely even wanted to talk about it. She made me feel like I shouldn't even talk about it. So I'm not going to talk about it before I end up getting evicted for no reason. People love to hear lies, and they hate to hear the truth. So, yeah, I'm going to just keep notating it, because one day people are going to start investigating. People are going to definitely start investigating, why am I singled out by Hispanics? Why? And even if she ain't Hispanic, she's mixed with it. She's a different ethnicity. So that's how I feel. And that is what's happened to me over the course of 5 years. And there's more. There's more that'll make you go, whoa. Like that Hispanic correctionals officer that didn't allow me to take showers, allowed eggs, crushed boiled eggs, to be in the shower. She allowed people that, it was a setup. It had to be a setup. Why would you bring eggs in a shower to take a shower? Or you allowed retarded people to go into the shower with eggs to do stupid shit. You in there to shower. It always go back to showering, right? Whoever is behind this big kerfuffle don't want me taking showers. Can y'all believe that? They don't want me taking showers. And it has to go high. It goes high. I hope they all get investigated on. Because I'm not saying shit else. I'm not saying shit to nobody. Let them make noise. My window, the only window open last night. I have my window open so I can get air, because it's so stuffy in here. I got my air conditioner hanging out. And they were just screaming. It wasn't laughter. It was screams, shrieks. It was shrieks. That's beyond screaming. It was shrieks. And I'm like, what point are they trying to get across? They in the middle of an apartment building where it echoes, shrieking. And they did it every time I fell asleep fully, like they know when I fall asleep. And that's what made me think there's a camera in here. It sounds paranoid, but when you think about it, every time I fell fully asleep, I would hear a shriek. So that could be a paranoid thought. It could be a coincidence. It's always between a coincidence and the truth. I can't prove it. So it's a coincidence. Like they were waiting on me to call the cops, you guys. They were waiting on me to call the cops. People are doing stuff to make me call the cops or try to make me get involved with cops so the cops can get annoyed at me. So I can look like some paranoid little girl. And once you keep calling the cops, they'll get concerned about your mental health when things look circumstantial. And then when they find out and check you out and they find out you're on parole and on papers, they'll reach out to your probation officer. Then your probation officer will reach out to your social worker, and your social worker will reach out to your doctor. And your doctor will say, well, this medicine ain't working. Why don't you come into the mental health clinic and we'll talk about it? Why don't you put on this gown? And it didn't have to go that way. It could be like, why don't you come back to jail and we'll figure out a way to have you in jail for a little bit. And that way we can keep track of you of what's going on. If you feel like people are following you, we can sit up there or harassing you. We can sit up there and protect you. Something like that. That's what they want. That's why she never wrote me back. If that wasn't the plan, why didn't she write me back? She will eventually. My words have no merit. No merit. I hope the FBI is watching me, the good part, to see exactly who is this person. They're never going to show their face. They're going to use burner phones. They're cowards. If you're watching out there and you're the person's doing this to me and been doing this to me for 5 years, you're a coward. You stand behind. You can't even come out and play. You stand in the green zone all the time because you know you don't have balls enough to come to where I live. You don't have balls to go to Philadelphia and listen to gunfire. You don't have balls to do anything but make moves through your money. And you sit up there and watch me complain and you laugh about it. We got her good this time. Your time is coming. So, you guys, I'm going to get you back one way and one way only. When I run for president and get followers and tell my story at how these shelters treated me, it need to be renovated in the shelters. It need to be re-renovated in these apartments. And they need to be watched a little harder. I done been through this shit. I done been through it. I didn't read about it in a book. That wouldn't make it as fun because I could be lying about something. I've been through it. And I want to make a change. Kick out those individuals that's habitually using drugs. They be right outside using meth in front of the shelters. It's legal here in Seattle. You can have enough, just enough on you for recreational use. So it's legal to me. So it's okay to use. That's encouraging the meth heads to continue to use. You cut them off and you create a drought so they can get up and get a job and snap out of that shit. You don't encourage. To do that means you do that to your children. Look, I'm about to get off of here. I didn't said enough. I talked about everything I need to talk about. Facebook gonna erase it, but if you look back, yes, I screamed sometimes on my I won't tell y'all my pages because I have some reasons why I said what I said, because I just feel like I'm just the only one that's going through this crap. So I said some things that could have been offensive, and it may look that way. It may look that way. This can hurt a lot of people because it all falls in place with, yes, it may be true. So I won't tell you, about my pages, that my underground stuff that I have through Instagram, because I don't know what I've actually said on there to the degree of respect and disrespect. And I don't want you to look at me another way. I can't delete it, so it's out there, and one day I'll show you or tell you where it's at. It's no big deal off my shoulders, because if I think something, it's a reason why somebody thinks something. And one day it's going to come up in my face. Why did I have that thought? How can it be an insane thought when I have proof? That's what I didn't never get. I never got it. I never got. I have physical proof, and I always will keep it. They want me mentally locked up, and nothing's really wrong with me. I may suffer from mental health issues, but they're going by the book. They're going by the book on what they learned. They don't want to step out of the book. They want it to be a lie. All day, every week, I read this book about bipolar. And, these grandiose ideations like becoming president of the United States. I'm like, well, what if you really do want to become president of the United States? You know, that's a false transition. That is a false transition. So you're saying because that's a big, when a child says it, like Ariana Grande. Let's look at Ariana Grande and that black girl. They're going around crying every 5 minutes at events, holding each other hands. Is that mentally unstable? Don't you get locked up for shit like that? But it's Hollywood. One person that's black, that's a woman, said she want to run. She said she did not want to win, but she want followers so they can see what her plans are. Kanye West did not have a plan. He said, I just want to free my slaves. I just want to free my slaves. He wasn't meaning us. He was meaning his celebrity friends. He knew all that knowledge, and all he could say, he had something hidden. He had a hidden agenda. When you running for president, you need to know what you're talking about. And he didn't know shit. Or he knew, and they knew that he had an alternate agenda. You just don't go in there saying, I can't tell you. Let me act crazy real quick. I'm trying to free my people. What is he doing now? Is he freeing us? What is he doing now? He's suing his dentist for getting him high. Oh, that's freeing us, right? Good. Got all his endorsements right on back. He's right back to the saddle with Hollywood. And everybody forgot. Do anybody from Hollywood like to free their people? Or do they take care of their own? And yet we buy their shit. We sit up there and buy their music. We pay Apple $9.99 or probably more. I don't know what I pay Apple right now to pay for open music, unlimited music, just to listen to them. Do they help us? Or they strategically get people that can help them look good? But do they pay our rent? Do they pay our bills? Do they buy us cars? Do they pay us reparations? Do they help us get on the news? None of that shit. And yet we're paying our money for them. And they're not paying shit. And yet we're focused. Everybody, look, Seattle. Taxes went up on gas. Gas is about to be $5 to $6 in July. And it's still going to go up every 3 or a year. Rent has gone up. People were suggestively complaining. They weren't complaining in a way that they complain about Trump. I'll tell you that. They have big systems for that. Nobody complained. I practically have to say nobody really complained about these taxes. They'll talk about it on the news, and then they'll talk for a whole bunch longer about Trump, ICE, tariffs. He's putting tax on it. He's doing the same thing here that Trump is doing in Washington, D.C., and we rarely even care about it. But because he's Democrat, we don't care. I'm just going to stop talking about it because it just bothers me. It bothers me. I can go on for hours about this. All I want is fairness. All I want is fairness. All I want is fairness. Like I said, Bob Ferguson, I'm not trying to tear you down, but like I said, there were 10,000 people that voted for me. My ticker may say 2 to 3 right now, but there were 10,000 people that voted for me. They were calling my phone, asking me. They were calling my phone, asking me questions. Then they would proceed to say, well, I'm going to vote for you. That made my day. And they were all white. That didn't make my day in a point where I'm saying I like physically all white people. I would have liked to have some black people in there, but since they were white, oh well. Those 10,000 people know people that knows people that they talk about. And those tickers, my tickers, my head count on how many people is watching me is wrong. That's why I continue to talk. When I hashtag Donald Trump, his administration get those messages. I made sure I noted to him everything on his page, even before he ended up on the White House page. What was going on with me with the VA, how the VA was doing me wrong, how in Santa Maria, they're complaining in Santa Maria right now. And some of them migrated to Seattle. They're complaining. But they talk to their friends, their family about voting because they believe it's a serious thing. Just look me up, Kimberly Cloud, and I'm going at it again, and nothing is going to stop me. So if I got to suck up smoke and hackling shrieks, then I am. If you jiggle my door, don't give a fuck because I know you can't get in. If you get in and do something to me, the police is going to be there and they're going to solve it. They're going to solve it real quick. So keep trying to taunt me. I want you to suffer like you're trying to have me suffer, whoever you are. I hope you suffer. Take care, be safe, y'all. And I will see y'all another time. Let's make America great again.
Never waste my time, you all I want.